Okay, we are now joined by Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 15 Cherry 5-Hour Energy for Special Ops Warrior Foundation Toyota. Clint, we returned to the site of your last victory, not only the showdown, but 2 years ago in the October race. Got to be feeling good heading into this weekend's race. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I don't know why all of a sudden since the victory just gave us a boost of confidence, and we've always seemed to run a lot better. And this was a terrible track for me. I hated this place, so I've kind of pretty fond of it anymore. And our car's pretty fast today. It was fast, last weekend as well. So looking forward to the 600 long race. A lot of things have to go right for a long time. There's no way getting around that, but nonetheless, pretty sporty so far.
All right, we'll open up for some questions. If you raise your hand, we'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start with Tom up here.
Hey, Clint, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. 2 questions for you. You got a baby name yet?
No, I've been working on that. If you have any cool ones, run them by me.
Tom is a great one.
Tom's less than stellar, but...
oh, that hurts. That hurts.
No, I'm joking.
On a more
looks good on you, though.
Thank you, bud. On a more serious note, we saw the All-Star race won from the front row, last restart. Even though this race is the longest race of the season, do you think it's going to end like that? Whoever's out front, last restart is your winner.
Unless the two on the front row take each other out in turn one, then it could possibly be won by somebody else other than the front row. But yes, if it comes down to 10 laps to go, in some sort of deal, yeah, somebody up front will win. It's just the way it is on these really fast racetracks like this. But there's a long road to hoe before you get down to something like that. I mean, it's the guy that's going to win this race, in my opinion, is going to be the one that's good on a long run, can keep their car turning well, for quite some time. Everybody knows it's a long race. You got to get settled in. That's one of the things that I liked about my race car last week. Didn't quite take off, that first 10 laps, but the next 10, I was coming back up through them. Everybody that passed me, that first or second lap. So different set of circumstances for this race, and that means something. Looking back towards last week, that short run and short go, and winner take all strategy and mentality is not going to prevail in the 600.
Viv
Bernstein, New York Times. I've seen this talking point throughout the year that the racing is better this year. And I'm wondering from your perspective, what's better about it? What are you seeing at the end of the race that's different that you didn't see in other years?
I don't really see anything different as far as the race goes. It's that every time they shake things up with a rule package, it's always better. I've always been a fan of if I had my the NASCAR reins for a day, that's one thing I would do periodically through the year is make a rule change. Because it seems to be, for at least, 2 months, 3 months after a rule change, you got people that really hit on it. Some teams that struggle. It just shakes things up, the parity throughout the field. So I think that's the biggest part of what you're seeing right now. Teams are starting to catch on. We've been to these mile-and-a-half tracks, and it's really starting to tighten back up, as it always does.
Go to Don.
That doesn't work anymore. Just yell it.
There's some argument that some races are too long. Do you like this one being 600? Do you like this being really long?
No, there's no reason to have any race that's this long, but there is something to be. It's a selling feature to have something longer than the rest. The biggest, baddest, longest race of the year, the most grueling. I understand the catch of having one race a year be drastically longer than the others, but that 400-mile race seems to be on these mile-and-a-half tracks a good number.
Brian.
Brian Nelson with MRN, to your left.
I got it.
Have to do it backwards. So next week, I believe, is the halfway to the chase mark at Dover. Does that you know, does knowing that half of the opportunity to lock it, to get into the chase with that win is behind you, make it, I mean, do you any more urgent, that feeling to try to win a race?
I guess for me right now, and in the very situation that I'm in, you know, looking back and looking ahead, it gives me a good feeling that, you know, I am only halfway. There's still halfway to go, you know, because the first half certainly isn't where we're accustomed to running, and you know, hasn't been near as smooth as we need it to be. So the good news, the flip side of that is you know, we're only halfway. We've got a long ways to go, a lot of racing.
Ben?
Okay, Clint, Ben White with Lexington Dispatch. I'm looking a little bit down the road, I realize, but talking about Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Could you tell me why you think Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson are so good at that racetrack? They've got 4 wins each, and how do you think you're going to do there?
They're in good equipment, and they're really good race car drivers. I mean, that's what it comes down to at Indy. A couple times it's came down to some strategy and things like that, but at the end of the day, good old-fashioned speed is what prevails, no different than when it's the Indy 500. 9 times out of 10, that set a group of individuals that have done their homework and bring a faster car than the rest win. I mean, it's a big racetrack, very aero-dependent, a horsepower racetrack. The fastest car wins there. You know, that's at the end of the day what makes a difference. I think, you know, looking at Indy and even talking about Indy, I mean, it's pretty exciting. You know what, Kurt? We've got a fellow racer that's competing and not only competing, he's you know, he's doing a hell of a job. I mean, I think it's going to be something to watch. You know, I really do believe Kurt has an opportunity to pull that off. I mean, that would be something that would make all of us in this sport pretty proud.
Go to Reed and then David.
Yeah. Well, you just got to work on your race car. I mean, that's the only thing you can really control through practice sessions in the daytime and everything else. You can try to forecast, you know, what it's going to do at night. But I mean, me being in the seat, I've got to do my job and make sure that it's handling, got a good balance. You know, not one way or another, just a good solid balance and making decent grip. You know, in my race car. And if you do that, it'll be good, you know, at night too. But certainly we see it every year. Teams that really take off during the day and struggle at night and vice versa, you know. So it's definitely real, you know, something that's something that you got to be conscious of and make sure that you're keeping up with the racetrack. If you're really good during the daytime, you better be looking over your shoulder and be anticipating, you know, a challenge ahead. Yeah.
Clint, you talked last week about how you went to the shop and sat down with Brian and you guys kind of rethought some things. I mean, is the car doing something for you now it wasn't doing for you before? I know you can't give away state secrets, but what did you guys kind of focus on?
Yeah, just, you know, trying to dissect. We've been really, really good, you know, in clean air practice sessions. You know, when you're out there all by yourself, top of the charts, you know, in a top 5 or 6 in race runs and pretty much every mile-and-a-half track. And then we start the race, we're in traffic, and we can't run anymore. We're out of control. The car's not making good grip, and you know, you can't drive the thing. So certainly there's things there that we were doing, you know, that were obviously just sheer speed, and then you get in a racing situation and you don't have that optimum air on your race car, and it's not you know, it's not handling the way it is. So yeah, there's definitely validity there and things that you need to change. But you know, for us, it was more so just a communication thing. You know, communication is so important, and you know, you can't underestimate that. You can get lackadaisical, you know, especially with our team. So when you've been together for a while, we have a lot of fun, you know, and it was time to pull the reins back and make sure that you know, we're taking care of business. Yeah, I think so. You know, a huge momentum change for us. You know, it backed up. You know, we were fast in practice, backed up to that qualifying race, backed up to the All-Star race, and you know, we were definitely a lot better than we've been all the way through the day. Yeah.
Any more questions for Clint? Bob?
Bob Parker, Sporting News. Would you ever want to try to do the Indy 500? And
No, I've been cutting hay, baling hay all week long, and haven't really been following Twitter or anything. And I did go home. Got in bed and I was watching TV a while, and I didn't even know Kurt had wrecked that day. And I was like, holy cow! No, that doesn't look one iota fun at all. That was a hard hit, and I mean, just from looking at it, you're like, I don't know, those things blow apart. You see us wreck, and it kind of flat sides the right side, and you're like, you'll be okay. You see them things blow apart, and you're like, is he even going to get out? You know what I mean? And no, it doesn't look like fun, but it's fun to watch.
And it's obviously generated a lot of interest among drivers. He talks about all the drivers coming up to him and talking up to him about it. Have you gotten any sense from your fans when you doing like fan stuff here? Are they interested in it to you? Do they talk to you about what Kurt's doing?
Well, not really. I haven't heard that with my interactions so far, but this is a busy week. You know, that's one thing about, you know, probably this week compared. We do a lot of appearances and things like that, but you don't have a lot of interaction, you know, a lot of questions and things like that because it's so hammered down this week. But yes, the fans are paying attention to that. You know, we're paying attention to it. Everybody, you know, in this room, everybody in this garage area is paying attention to it. That's a big story for us, and you know, like I said, it's something that hasn't been done but a few times, and you know, I've heard stories when Smoke did it a while back. His tongue was hanging out pretty bad at the end of the day, and that's a tall order to ask of anybody, and pretty cool to see.
All right, Clint. Appreciate the time, and good luck this weekend.
Yep.